All right, you got anyone else? Or
we should get to Ben Sinnott. We should definitely get to Ben Sinnott, the tight end with Washington. I know Zach Ertz is there, but Ben Sinnott is such a complete tight end, whether it's the blocking ability or the receiving upside. And I mean, the play that stood out is obviously the seam route and catching the ball and being able to turn a run and get some yards after catch. But I think he's a sneaky. I don't even know if sneaky is the right word. I think he's going to be an important piece of this Washington offense. And yeah, Cliff, since he's been in the NFL, I've been a little bit surprised by how deliberate he's been with trying to find answers at tight end. Like, you don't necessarily think that that's going to be an important part of what he wants to do, but it is. And I think Ben Sinnott is such a complete player and a very strong debut for Washington.
What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.
One thing that was interesting when we chatted pre-show, or I should say yesterday, is that we both had a handful of players we liked that weren't quarterbacks. We wanted to give a little shout out to. So we're going to do some preseason shout outs. Now, we got both offensive and defensive guys. These are non-QBs. Yeah, so let's just go through our little list here, Joe. Why don't you start us off?
I'd love to start with Jordan Whittington of the Rams. Boy, did I enjoy watching him. And you feel like McVay just kind of has a knack for uncovering some of these gems at wide receiver. Sometimes you watch a player and it's not necessarily like the most explosive guy or the biggest guy, but there's just something about the way that they compete and the way that they go about their business, their mannerisms that pop. And I think for Jordan Whittington, that was very obvious to me, just like a super physical, competitive dude. And his feel for space in that game, I thought, was outstanding, which is important in that type of role. Like, they're kind of having him do some of the Ben Skoranek stuff with motions and attacking space and catching the ball. And I thought he did a really good job. My favorite play was obviously the slant route where he catches it, breaks a tackle, quickly accelerates, gets a big chunk gain after the catch. But it was like the competitive side, the physicality, feel for space, confidence catching the ball, confidence with the ball in his hands. And McVay said that, hey, he's going to be a factor for us. And maybe that's not a player that people were expecting to be a factor for the Rams, but heck of a debut to position himself to earn opportunity, and definitely a player that I have my eye on and enjoyed him a ton in his debut.
You know who he reminded me of on that slant?
Robert Woods.
Puka Nacua. When he caught that ball, he knew exactly what he wanted to do with it. The competitiveness, like that hair on fire mentality, just oozed through the screen, bro.
Yep.
Like it was like he was William Wallace fighting for freedom out there, just throwing guys off of him, running through contact. That's exactly how Puka plays. And I'm like, did Sean McVay do this again? Did he find another? Puka was 4th round though, right? 5th round, maybe
5th. I think he's a 5th. Yeah.
So, but still, man, like he might be the best wide receiver evaluator out there right now. I don't know. He finds these guys, man. It's crazy.
Do you feel like the one piece of the equation with McVay and like Tutu Atwell, and then also like Van Jefferson? Those,
right. Sure,
he's got some stuff. He's got some stuff there that bothers me. But
yeah, you're right. You're right. I oversold that by a lot. So he's probably.
Yeah, I had to bring you back down to earth real quick there.
It's funny, his higher darts at it have not worked out, but his later guys have.
Right. Yeah.
Jefferson and Atwell, his highest draft picks,
2nd and 3rd round picks. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, they were both seconds, I think. Wasn't Van a second?
Was he? I know that Tutu was, because I will never forget Tutu Atwell being a 2nd round pick in my entire life. You're right. 57th pick in the draft. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, Cooper Kupp 3rd, and then Puka, and now Whittington potentially. I'll take this a step further. He's not good. Like, the earlier he takes a skill player, the worse they seem to be. Like, how many running backs has he drafted in the 2nd round?
Cam Akers versus Kyron Williams.
Right. Darrell Henderson, 2nd round pick. There's been a few over
Gerald Everett versus Tyler Higbee.
Right. Yeah.
Just go with the later round guys.
With the later round guy. Yeah. So whatever.
We could do offensive line Logan Bruss versus Alaric Jackson,
Right. It
never ends.
It's crazy. So maybe that's not all McVay. Maybe it's just their scouting department. Right. So coaches probably have less influence in the guys drafted later. So maybe we're giving the credit to the wrong guy, right? That's a scout pick for sure. These Jordan Whittington types, but
Right.
anyways, very very fun performance. It's interesting because Demarcus Robinson seemed to have found his home towards the last year. He was
They
balling
extended
out.
him.
They extended him. Perpetual wide receiver 4, though. Perhaps maybe he's just a wide receiver 4, and if he's your wide receiver 4, you're in a good spot. Maybe that's the way to look at it. All right, cool. I'm gonna throw one out. My guy A.T. Perry. New Orleans Saints wide receiver. I know towards the end of last year, he was getting on the field, playing time as a 6th-round rookie. He looks awesome. He looked good last year. I know he's in a battle for that wide receiver 3 spot right now. I think currently a battle he was losing previous to this game. But he goes out there, 55-yard bomb. Like, the ball tracking's never been a concern, right? I think I tweeted the year he was coming out that he had by far the best resume of deep ball catching. Playing with Sam Hartman, who just throws YOLO balls in college. Perry was out there tracking him down, bringing him in, tough at the catch point, just awesome. Like, looks like a center fielder tracking the ball down. And for his size, dude, he's such a smooth mover. He's got sneaky speed because of how smooth he is. He's a really good double move route runner.
Well, that's what that 55-yard bomb was a double move, right?
Yes, it was. Yes.
That route was a heck of a route. The way he dared that corner to try to play through him.
Yep.
Couldn't do it.
And then the thing that really jumped out to me where I feel like we've seen improvement now is A.T. Perry was not a guy you were really working into the soft part of the zone, in college. And then even last year, you're not trusting him to go find that hole. He did it. He was working the soft parts of the zone this week. Even a couple times where it was an inaccurate throw or he wasn't even targeted, but he was open. Really felt good about what I saw there. He also learned this throw-by technique that I really love. Because when you got a guy with vertical ability, you want those free yards underneath, those hitches and those outs.
Yeah, 100%.
But when you're as long as A.T. Perry, it's not easy to generate quick separation on those throws. So that throw-by technique is excellent. He hit that on a hitch route. It was beautiful. So loved what I saw from Perry.
Fun call out. All right, I'll get into my next one here, and it's going to be to the absolute disappointment of Mr. Brett Whitefield, who continues to misevaluate Jaylen Wright, the outstanding young running back for the Miami Dolphins. I thought he was great in his debut. I thought for a player that is coming out of Tennessee, where, a lot of extremely light boxes, a lot of clear air production, for him to show up in this game, his first, NFL game where that's not the case, and for him to navigate tight quarters and show what I thought was very good vision and contact balance, being able to find his tracks and just run the daylight. I appreciated that. I thought he strung together moves extremely well. Obviously, he's a 4.3 guy, so the acceleration and speed shows up, and big play potential. But I just thought he looked really dynamic. But he's not just like a scat back. He's got some power and some physicality about him. And I thought he finished runs extremely well. I thought the one route he was asked to run, the little flat route, thought he was great separation, terrible throw, good route overall. And so, don't be surprised when Jaylen Wright's Raheem Mostert in 2025, and he's going to get a bunch of touches and score a bunch of touchdowns. And I think that's kind of the path for him. But I thought it was a really strong debut, and I thought the way that he was able to make quick decisions and be find where he wanted to go with the ball and then show good vision in the hole, stringing together moves while being physical and explosive was really exciting to me.
Yeah, so I'll concede he impressed me with his navigation of heavy personnel, tighter boxes. I did think, in fact, I'll just say this. I thought his best runs were on, he's got a fullback in front of him. We're running inside zone.
You don't expect it, right?
Yeah, gapping the defense there. I think there was another inside zone play where he hit a little cutback, found a crease. I thought his worst runs where he was given space, where it was like a gun outside zone carry, was pitter-pattered a little bit. I think got hit for -6. It was probably going negative no matter what he did,
right.
But the indecisiveness there cost him a few yards. But I will say that I thought the vision was a little better than I anticipated. Navigating those congested areas looked really nice. And then obviously the speed and acceleration is there. If you compare that with a crease for the man, he can be a very effective runner. That's basically been Raheem Mostert's whole career, right? So,
right. I think they got the second version of him. And You could tell a lot of what the Dolphins did with their draft this year was to kind of get ahead of some expiring contracts and some aging players. So like Chop Robinson's your succession plan for Bradley Chubb. Then you take Patrick Paul, who's your succession plan for Teron Armstead. And Jaylen Wright's your succession plan for Raheem Mostert. I think they try to get ahead of that with some younger players. And the role this year is going to be tough because of Raheem Mostert and Achane. I think they're going to obviously get his touches. So at best, he's RB3, and you never know how Jeff Wilson's going to factor in. I know that there's a lot of familiarity with him and Mike McDaniel. I think Mike McDaniel's spoken pretty favorably about where Jeff Wilson's at right now. So we'll see what the opportunities look like. But I think in 2025, I think he could be their starting running back.
Cool. I don't disagree. I'll take an L there if I have to eventually. That's fine with me.
Hey, listen, I had to take an L on Breece Hall. Like I was such not a fan of him at Iowa State. I mean, it was clear air production, Big 12, horrible tackling defenses, and
space for days too. And, yeah.
Looks like a pretty good player to me. So.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Another guy I liked was Jermaine Burton. Obviously, sometimes when I watch preseason tape, I am looking to confirm priors on my draft takes, right? So I love Jermaine Burton coming out. I thought he was, from a pure talent standpoint, I thought he's a fringe first round type of wide receiver. Goes in the third round because of presumed off-field concerns. But man, dude can play, already showing it. He had a deep ball win on like a stutter and go that was just gorgeous. 37-yard TD. Then he had, this is a thing too that I thought he was so underrated part of his game at Alabama was his physicality at the catch point. So he had this go ball where it was clear go. The rule is if you're even, you're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, though, quarterback flops the throw. He needed to hit a 3-iron, and he pulled out a 7. And it's like, it's worse than back shoulder, and Jermaine Burton has to fight back through the corner contact to go win the catch, wins the catch, gets his feet down in bounds. Really nice looking play. And that's the exact type of receiver Joe Burrow thrives with, right? This is T. Higgins, this is Jamar Chase, guys you can trust to go win those routes. Like I just love that about Burton. Looked pretty good after the catch as well. I just thought it was a great performance and just a very typical Cincinnati Bengal type receiver performance.
He's got to be wide receiver 3, right? Like, didn't Charlie Jones just get hurt, and then it's like Yosevis is the other guy?
Yeah, and they tried playing. He started in the slot. However I pronounce it.
Yosevis.
Okay, Yosevis. They started him in the slot that game, but he does not look like a slot player to me at all. But Jermaine Burton doesn't have a lot of experience in the slot either. So for me, the ideal makeup would be we're going to play Chase in the slot most of the 50% of the time, and then the other two guys will work in there.
Oh, Chase in the slot's going to be a problem if that's the case. He's just going to be. I mean, he bodies.
He's been tilting him that way a little bit the last couple of years. He's more and more in the slot. So I think maybe just go full commit just to make sure you get the best 3 on the field.
Lord.
Yeah, Chase after the catch, giving him space over the middle is scary. So good luck. Good luck. Love what I saw from Burton. I think that was a really smart draft pick, especially if T ends up leaving. And that's like you mentioned, the Dolphins setting themselves up for future success. This is like Burton might not play a ton this year, but if T goes and signs a big deal somewhere else, Burton's the freaking man. So good luck. All right, you got anyone else? Or
we should get to Ben Sinnott. We should definitely get to Ben Sinnott, the tight end with Washington. I know Zach Ertz is there, but Ben Sinnott is such a complete tight end, whether it's the blocking ability or the receiving upside. And I mean, the play that stood out is obviously the seam route and catching the ball and being able to turn a run and get some yards after catch. But I think he's a sneaky. I don't even know if sneaky is the right word. I think he's going to be an important piece of this Washington offense. And yeah, Cliff, since he's been in the NFL, I've been a little bit surprised by how deliberate he's been with trying to find answers at tight end. Like, you don't necessarily think that that's going to be an important part of what he wants to do, but it is. And I think Ben Sinnott is such a complete player and a very strong debut for Washington.
Agreed. I mentioned the hair on fire mentality with Jordan Whittington. That's for sure true with Ben Sinnott. Go watch that seam ball he caught. Usually when a tight end catches a seam ball, it's like catch, 2 steps, fall down, takes a hit. Nah, bro. He was like, no, I'm going. Catches the ball, gets upfield, starts just smashing helmets. I just love the competitiveness, man. he's got that run after catch ability. I think that, it's very George Kittle-esque in a lot of ways. So that should be good for Jaden Daniels' development at some point. And Zach Ertz is old. So like, I like having, and obviously Ertz knows the Kingsbury offense coming from Arizona together. He brings stability to the room, but Sinnott is obviously the big upside play there for them. So really, really like that for fantasy guys too. Like, especially, well, everyone's done their dynasty draft, so I won't mention that, but like late round, or just make a note that he's a waiver wire guy. Like, you got to keep an eye on him. He starts producing, snatch him up. He's talented.
Yeah, I think in dynasty he's probably snatched up, but tight ends are weird in regular like redraft leagues, right? Like, never know. Hopefully, if you get him on your team, he catches a touchdown that week, right?
Yes.
Play him.
Yes. All right. Remember, folks, no matter what happens, we will always be your first read. Thank you so much for listening to us. We are out.